Sup, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Björn titled Traveler. And if we switch over to here, I assume we have the man himself on the screen here with a guitar. This is on their YouTube channel, and we're going to listen through this track from Travelers from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think we've also reviewed their track Glow. I could be wrong, but I think we have reviewed Glow before, but this is Traveler, so let's go. Let's do it. Nice to start quietly with the atmosphere on the sides. It's very gentle, isn't it? One of the more unique approaches to tapping that I've heard in a while. To be down the low end for that mid-range resonance. That was a smooth transition up the neck. Are those vocals in the background is like a choir or sub-lab? Ooh, that's a fantastic chord to end with. A ninth there, nice. Now that was a really pretty song, for sure, but we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Björn titled Traveler. Now, first of all, what do we think this track is about? Given that it's a guitar instrumental, there's no story to go with, so I presume that it's about someone going through like space or going on an adventure somewhere, a traveler, and the guitar riff is kind of inferring all the different places they go, all the adventures they follow. Or maybe it is actually the preparation they go through in order to get prepared for that adventure in the first place. I mean, either way, it's a stunning piece that I think makes the most out of the instrument without ever being too much, and qualifies the other candidates within the arrangement as well. So for example, I think just technically speaking, the guitar is really well fleshed out throughout this, whether it's the cleaner side parts there, the little kind of picked up arpeggios or notes on the sides there to call and respond with the main leads, the kind of very kind of gentle crispiness of the starting kind of melodies there on the main, going into the little tippy tap with the slides on the right hand and the kind of hammer on pull off on the left is just fantastic. So we immediately get a sense that they are very comfortable and capable on the instrument. But it's difficult to not make like an instrumental piece that is guitar oriented into like a 4-minute guitar solo. And I think that it's kind of a structural thing, which is kind of putting two in one, but I think I just want to sort of focus on the actual technical proficiency for now. It's not just that we understood how to sort of like arrange these layers together and with the main guitars and the leads, etc., as well as everything else in the arrangement itself, instrumental layer wise, but it's also that we understood to have certain chapters or different areas of different techniques. Some parts there were some little sweep picks, other times there were hammer-on sort of pick-off oriented up ascending and descending melodies, or sort of like scale choices or note melodies there. It's just, we had these wonderful bends as well on the upper strings as well there on the E string there, and there were such clean bends as well going for those falls. And it was just really articulate, but also to be able to play that cleanly is extremely difficult. It's like when you think that if there's less notes, it'll be less complicated, but no, in actuality, when there's space, you really can't afford to muck up because it will sound weird. And even the parts we slowed down to go into a practical eighth note groove, especially with the palm muting there, with everything building up, it just needs to be so tight rhythmically. So it might seem like I'm unnecessarily glazing, but honestly, as a guitarist, I can appreciate the technicality of what's on display here. And combining both skill with taste is not something that you take for granted. So I think in essence, this is very well performed. Structurally, I think the adventure we go on with the overall crescendo across the entire attack is very satisfying. We go from very little, just the sort of like main leads, to adding extra guitar parts, to some filtered drums initially before they come out of their shell and have the full range. We have the bass and the vocal chops as well in the background. And I think part of what allows the guitars to have such space in the early stages is the effects change, like the reverbs and how they go around the stereo field, and the Strymon-esque kind of gorgeous, mystical tone to it there. There's this glow in the mid-range there that's just very charming and soothing to listen to. And it illustrates an understanding that even if we have a more low-key part, quote-unquote, it still needs to have depth to it, and bits on the side sort of still indicate to the listener that it will get that big. It's like foreshadowing. But for us to layer all those additional elements we go through in a way that is, again, tasteful, but shows a journey from the traveler is wonderful, especially as the guitars were the focal point for the entire track, if I'm not mistaken. To just kind of make the most of that relative 3 minutes 55 of the piece there, because it was just under 4 minutes. For it to be intriguing and interesting to listen to with the different guitar techniques as well as the added stuff across that time frame, without needing a storytelling device to give further information, if you to simply be able to close your eyes and appreciate it, that is testament to their ability as a musician. It's very proficient, and I'm really happy with this song. They clearly know what they're doing in terms of songwriting as well as actually playing the instrument. Like, there was no sort of like separation necessarily from the key sort of like signatures and like core bass lines or chord progressions. Like there were adjustments as we went through. There was range, don't get me wrong, but we never felt too alienated from where we started from. It was an adventure, but it was relative. The production, though, is probably the thing I'd sort of focus on for the third main sort of like point of praise, I suppose, for this track, because it was wonderful. There was dynamic range to it, so things weren't the same loudness. There was adjustments of the volume. It was also nice to have the guitars be able to be at their various tones and textures and various intensities while still having space and placement within in the mix in a way which made sense. It was nice to have the relative loudness go up as we went along. It was nice for the stereo field to fill, and for that to be an indication of light loudness or intensity as well, as that is not something you take for granted either. There were just these really cool ideas implemented from a production standpoint as well that allowed the guitar to sit there, the back and forth between clean sort of like kind of reverb takes and the main sort of like crispiness there at the start, and as well as everything else, with the vocal layers on top, adding a sense of polish and shimmer and sheen to it, and just a sense of humanity to it. It's almost like it's cheering us on as we travel through the universe. And the drums as well, with the mixture of different kick, snare, and flams as well, the cymbal patterns and tom and fills. It's just awesome, and just you could hear everything in the mix. Nothing was obfuscated. There were no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. There was automation and adjustment of EQing on certain instruments, such as the drums at the start, but it was very subtle with how that kind of like brought in, and it was just really satisfying. And you know, it was nice and loud without pumping through the bus compression limiting was handled. So ultimately, I think the three main points of praise for this track are probably the actual guitar playing itself, so instrumentally very competent, like performatively so, but the songwriting as well was fantastic. I really appreciate the decisions made in regards to structuring this track from start to finish. Great use of the sub 4 minutes. And then finally, it's the production where we recorded things really neatly and sort of produced, mixed, and mastered it as well. No complaints from me on this one. I feel like it's just a really stellar effort, and I wish Björn all the best in future with the music, because thank you for watching my review of this track from Björn titled Traveler, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than everything. Got a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SBRX. Spiderhands out.